Mr. Trump.
How are you?
Oh, great. Good. You made it back safe. That's great.
I did indeed, Phil. I did indeed.
Did you have a good time?
I did, and I hear such great things about your show. Too bad I'm not there more. I could listen. I could listen even more.
Well,
but I hear great things about your show and you, Phil.
Well, thank you very much. We had a great time. I saw you trying to get out of there to get this thing going. It was going on so long.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was way too long. I talked to them after. I said, you should next time, if you have yourself or someone else, get you on first.
Well, I wanted to be respectful, and I think Joe has done an amazing job. He's a great guy. And it was a long one. I mean, what you didn't see probably were the pictures we took. I think I took a picture with everybody in the room.
I got the whole. Somebody sent me all of them. They're terrific.
I mean, but there was such love. It was like there was love in that room, and I just felt it would be very disrespectful if I sort of went up and said, "Listen, I want to speak and get out of here. We do have a hurricane." By the way, the pilots are saying, please hurry, and in the meantime, I'm listening to everybody speak. But I made a lot of great friends that night, and I was really well received, and the speech got great reviews, and we had a good time. It was great. Joe has done an amazing job with the party.
Yeah,
he's a terrific guy.
Yeah, he did. I'm supposed to be meeting him this afternoon up in Tampa at the convention. You saw you obviously you saw Ann Romney's speech last night, right?
I thought she was great.
Yeah,
I thought she looked beautiful and she spoke beautifully, and she brought that whole element of Mitt in that a lot of people don't see. She was absolutely, you'd have to say it was a 10, don't you think?
Oh, I think it was great. I'm going to play a clip from Ann right now, and I'll get your comment on
it.
I read somewhere that Mitt and I have a storybook marriage. Well, let me tell you something. In the storybooks I read, there never were long, long, rainy winter afternoons in a house with 5 boys screaming at once. And those storybooks never seem to have chapters called MS or breast cancer. A storybook marriage? Nope, not at all. What Mitt Romney and I have is a real marriage.
I thought that was great.
Amazing. It was almost a soundbite for the ages. It was amazing. It was a great speech. I wouldn't think, and she had to be nervous because that's a big thing when you don't do it all the time. And she actually said she speaks off the cuff. She doesn't really do the teleprompter thing. That made it even more difficult. But I thought that she really could not have done any better.
Yeah, and I also think that Christie was tremendous. The energy he brought to that room was unbelievable last night.
Well, Chris is a great guy. He's a friend of mine, and he's a great guy, and I had no doubt that he'd do a good job.
What was his reluctance, you think, for running this time around?
Well, I really think he felt he wasn't prepared. He wasn't quite ready. He's got a job that he's doing in New Jersey. I have a lot of things in New Jersey and a lot of properties, and he's doing a really good job. I think he thinks that it just isn't finished yet. He wants to finish it up. And I think it was late. It was a little bit late. Right. But he felt, honestly, that he was young and maybe not ready. But he'll be probably ready the next time, based on everything we're seing.
And I'm going to play one clip for you.
If there is a next time. If Mitt wins, we're talking about 8 years. 8 years is a long time.
So, talking about that, Thursday night is going to be an important night. And as his friend, what would you say to him? What would you say to him? Okay, look, you're going to go out there. Here's what I think you should. I think you should focus on 1 or 2 things. Or what would you tell him to do?
Well, I would just say he's got to be himself. In people, you can't really change. He has a great formula. The beautiful part about Ann Romney's speech was she talked about who he really is. He's a very fine man, and he's a nice man. And he can be tough and very strong and all of those things, but he's got great qualities. And I think he's got to be himself. I don't think he can, act out as though he's somebody different. People see through that. And if he's himself and I think he's actually a very good speaker, and I think he's going to do a great job.
Now, do you think he has to be more definite on what his plan is compared to Obama's plan rather than being so generic? Right now it's kind of a generic plan.
I also think he should be critical of Obama. I think the one mistake the Republicans are making is they're not being critical enough of Obama and the job that Obama is doing. They're afraid to be critical of Obama, and they don't want to be criticized or whatever it may be. and they're just afraid to be critical of him. And I personally, if I were him, I'd be extremely critical of Obama. I don't know that he'll take that route. I doubt he'll take that route. But I think that, when you see what the Obama campaign is doing with the whole thing with murderer and felon and all the vicious charges that are being made, I think you have to really fight fire with fire. And that's what I would do. Now, I don't know that that's what Mitt's going to do, but I would be extremely critical of Obama in the speech.
And I remember at one point you talked with Blitz. You're talking about his ratings and why they were low. I want to play a clip, and I think everybody's giving you credit for this. When Schultz went on and talked about with Medicare and she was lying, he finally attacked her. We were all shocked. I'll play this clip, get your response.
Familiar with his recommendations that no one over 55 would be impacted by his recommended changes.
Okay, here's how, though. As I said, because, first of all, we do care that we have a safety net in place in health care for people who are 65 now and for people as they turn 65. We made a decision in the 1960s.
But they would continue to have that safety net.
No, they wouldn't, because
he says that anybody over 55 is still going to receive exactly the same Medicare that they receive right now.
Okay, but Wolf, they end their plan ends Medicare as we know it.
For people under 55 years old.
Everyone's giving you credit for this because everybody was amazed that he turned around and attacked her. She was almost saying to him, wait a minute, I should be able to get away with this. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Why aren't you? Because of the fact that he went after me.
Oh, yeah, because you said to him, you said, well, here's the reason why your ratings are so low.
I did say that.
Yeah.
Well, I did say that. I know I'm the king of ratings, okay, and I understand ratings. And, I have very, very successful ratings and an unbelievably successful show, and I get it. And Wolf was sort of attacking me, and I said, if you did that with the other side, maybe your ratings would be better because your ratings are terrible. Unlike your ratings, Phil, which are excellent. I heard, I've never heard it expressed so nicely as you just expressed it. But people have said that I helped Wolf Blitzer because by being tougher, I mean, some of these guys are almost like surrogates for Obama. You look at some of them. I mean, I've done interviews with people. I won't mention any specific names, but where they actually are almost coming out of their seat to attack me because I'm attacking Obama. And they're reporters. They're supposed to be, like, neutral. And it's amazing to me. So, yeah, I probably did help Wolf Blitzer. No question about it.
Yeah, and everyone is saying that. And what I'm finding, too, in my own show is that before, when I attacked Obama, I would get a lot of bad mail. Very little now. Very little. Yeah. There's a big change now.
Hey, Phil, he's doing a lousy job.
Right.
He's a lousy president. He's doing a lousy job. And it's good to say it. And I think the reason that I always score so high in the polls and was leading the polls, I had to make a decision, do I do it or not? And one of the reasons I was leading in the polls was that I was telling it like it is. And people want to hear that. People are smart. As a group, the public is amazing. They just get it. And I would be very, very strong in Obama. And, if he were doing a good job, I wouldn't be. I mean, ultimately, it's about the country. If he were doing a good job, I'd actually be happy.
Right.
I would actually be happy. I don't care, Republican, Democrat. I would be very happy if he did a great job. I'd be the happiest guy there is. I would be positive about him. But he's doing a terrible job. And I would say that, and people would like, and that's why I have a very big following, I guess. Not because they like me. I think they like what I say. When you see what China's doing to us, when you see what OPEC is doing to this country, I mean, they're treating us like a bunch of babies, like a bunch of infants. And we have nobody to protect us. I don't know if they don't want to protect us or they're just stupid or incompetent, but we have nobody to protect us. So, people want to see this nation be great again. We're right now a nation in major decline. We're a declining nation. Do you know in 2016 China takes off as the world's great power? 2016. 5 years ago, that would have been unthinkable, impossible to even wasn't even close. In another few years, China will be the #1 great economic power. Unbelievable.
And and with the unfunded obligations we have in Social Security and Medicare, it's like $534,000 per household. What would if you were president and you got into office in the first 100 days? What would you attack first? Where would you go?
Well,
first?
The biggest thing you can do, you have to make the economy good. You have to free up the oil, free up the energy. We have to stop being dependent on OPEC and these characters that think we're a bunch of dopes. and they charge us so much for oil. You know, it's interesting. With 70 days left, I thought OPEC was going to wait. You look at gasoline prices now are over $5 a gallon. I thought OPEC was going to wait to get their friend elected again and then really sock it to us, right?
Yeah.
They can't wait. You know, that 70 days, just too long for them. They can't do it mentally. And they really started socking us hard, and gasoline's through the roof. And I think ultimately gasoline will be almost as big a problem for Obama as, you know, if you look at it, $5 a gallon. And I guess it was $5.12 in one location, which is pretty bad when you hit the fives. When you hit the fours, it was bad. When you hit the fives, it's really election changing. And then the big thing, of course, is going to be unemployment and the economy. But if we got the economy going, Phil, all of these things would take care of themselves.
And the quantitative easing that everybody's hoping, and I'm not hoping because I think quantitative easing really kills the economy, kills job creation, keeping interest rates at zero, killing job creation. But what's your thought on the quantitative easing? This will be our fourth one because they call the other one, changed the name, they got cute, they call it Twist.
Right.
So
it's basically low interest rates. But don't forget, that has another impact. And the worst impact is on people that have saved their money, and they're getting no interest on their bonds and things now. They're getting no interest. So, you know, they're getting, you go to CDs today, and they give you like half of 1%. So that's having a huge impact on things. But what would happen, Phil, if interest rates were normal? You know what our deficit would be? I mean, our deficit would be so much higher than it is right now. I mean, the only reason we're at trillions, but the only reason is because interest rates are so low. If interest rates were normal, I think this country would just go right down.
$4 billion a day is what it's increasing our national debt. So
yep,
it's ridiculous.
$4 billion a day. We're at right now we owe $17 trillion. It'll soon be $17 trillion. You know, the word trillion was never a word that was in the vocabulary until a few years ago.
You're right. And every time I do my show, I'm always confused. I go say billion, but then I forgot to say trillion. I can't say the word trillion.
No, it was not a real word. It was a word that you never hear. Now you never hear the word billion. I want to hear the word billion again, right?
All right. Well, I thank you. How's the in New York? Is New York still
New York is doing fine. New York is an unusual place.
Right.
The housing market in Manhattan is good. The rest of New York isn't great, but the housing market in Manhattan has been quite good.
And Miami, right, or Florida?
And Miami has been amazing, but that's because of South America. You know, they all come up from South America. I bought Doral in Miami,
right,
and it's been amazing. You know, it's 800 acres right in the middle of Miami, and it's been amazing. But Miami's a little bit different. You know, Miami is very prone to be South America. That's where they want to be. So it's a little bit of a false. You look at other places, they're doing terribly.
And you bought a golf course in Scotland, right?
I built one, a great one.
You built it? Oh, great.
One that opened a couple of months ago, and it's really fantastic.
How'd you get interested in Scotland?
Well, my mother was born in Scotland.
Oh, wow.
So I've always had that little feeling for Scotland.
Oh,
and
great.
I had the opportunity to buy an amazing piece of land in Scotland where they wanted to sell it. And I bought it, and everybody said you couldn't possibly get it zoned because it was totally protected. You know, the environmentalists do major damage, right?
Right.
So they do more damage than they do good in many cases. So I got it zoned, and I got it built, and it's a big hit. It's the talk of Europe right now.
That's great. Listen, I thank you for your time. You're generous.
Well, I want to thank you for supporting the dinner and Joe and all of that because your show is great, and I hope you had a good time. And
we did.
I hope you noticed that despite the fact that I was there about 5 hours longer than I was supposed to be, I didn't go totally crazy. But you know, there was such a great amount of feeling in that room. I just felt I should just. I'm going to listen to all those speeches.
Well,
and I made a lot of friends.
I was sitting behind you. All of a sudden, I started seeing you orchestrate your team. All of a sudden, you call somebody over, you call another guy over, and I said to my wife, "I think he's getting the clue. He wants to get out."
Well,
of here.
I was close, but ultimately, I would have never done it. No. Too much and love in that room.
Well, we hope to get you back here.
Well, I will be back. It's a great place. I have a lot of friends in that area.
Well,
so
you do now, for sure. You're not going to the convention, right?
I'm not going to go. I was going on Monday.
Right.
And I was doing a big thing, and now they'll determine whether or not they want to do it. But the Monday was going to be great. But, you know, the hurricane, which turned out to be a false forecast at least in terms of Tampa.
Yeah.
But that happens quite a bit with these weather folks. But you take care of yourself, Phil. Keep up the good work.
And I can't thank you enough for being generous with these interviews.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Have a great one.
Thanks, Phil.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.